Greetings and welcome to a special edition of Trinity Radio. I am Jonathan Pritchett. Along with me is
Braxton Hunter.
And today we are going to talk about what we are thankful for.
Welcome to Trinity Radio with Dr. Braxton Hunter and Professor Jonathan Pritchett.
We're forgiven, we're shown mercy and grace, and our punishments probably aren't as harsh as they should be, even within this lifespan.
Do skeptics bring objections to the case? Of course they do.
What's going on with you today? They just don't like it. They don't like it that God is just and He has every right as creator to do what He wills.
God is the best explanation for the beginning of the universe.
Of now y'all having to look at our faces, which for that I apologize.
As we begin this episode, Dr. Pritchett, I'd like to point out first and foremost that I am thankful for young Nick. I don't know if you know who Nick is, but Nick is a person who had no idea what Trinity College of the Bible was or who Braxton Hunter was, but he knew Jonathan Pritchett because he had recently seen a debate. He showed up on our YouTube channel and he said, "Hey, does anybody know who that idiot was who was obnoxiously cutting off Dr. Pritchett?" And I said, "Do you mean the people that he debated who kept cutting him off, or do you mean his co-host on this show?" And he said, "I mean you, Braxton Hunter." And I said, "Who this idiot is the guy whose channel you're on right now. Look at what's at the top of the screen." And then, because it is the Wild Wild West, I muted the conversation. So I'm thankful for Nick because I think that helps your ego.
Well, I mean, if you just want me all the time, you have a problem.
Well, here's the thing. It's like this. You win some, you lose some. Yeah. I have found that to be an incredibly helpful cliche. Because almost anything that happens in life, almost any comment that anyone makes, if you're at a loss for words, just say, you win some, you lose some. So anyway, maybe we'll test it out as the show goes on. Today we're here to talk about what we are thankful for. And besides young Nick, we are thankful for quite a bit this year. Pritchett, you kind of thought this would be a good topic, given that this is being recorded the week of Thanksgiving. So yes. Pontificate.
Well, it is good every now and then to take stock of the blessings God has given you and to be thankful for all of those blessings, you know. I'm thankful for everyone who actually comments on our YouTube channel because you don't have to bother and people do. So that's actually pretty good, even if they say unpleasant things at times, which...
They rarely say unpleasant
right.
things. I have to say, even the atheists who come there to criticize are pretty respectful.
Yeah. Well...
We have found the scholarly corner of the YouTubes. If you want, I mean, there's a lot. YouTube's, like I said, is like the Wild Wild West.
Right.
But Trinity Radio's Braxton Hunter YouTube channel is like the one little area that seems to be an oasis of kindness and generosity and mild snarkiness.
Yes, and we allow for all of that as long as it's not too over the top. But I of course, you know. The one thing that I always am thankful for is God. And that's not just because this is a Christian program and that we're Christians, but really when you stop to think that we don't have to have air in our lungs, we don't have to have a cosmos to live, move, and have our being. We don't have to have any of the good things and the nice things in life. And I am thankful for God for all of that. I am thankful for salvation because God is who He is. And so if you sin and rebel, there's consequences for that, but yet He's provided salvation. So I'm thankful for Him sending His Son Jesus to die for us. And I'm thankful for the Holy Spirit because the Holy Spirit guides us how to live, how to be human. So it's not just a mere, let's give religious platitudes because it's Thanksgiving. Let's
give some religious platitudes and then explain why they're meaningful.
Right. It's really to stop and be thankful because of that, I have all these other things to be thankful for because of God and His grace. So my wife, my kids, my family.
That is co-host.
Well, I'm not there yet. Settle down. I'm thankful for my wife and my family and of course my extended family.
Your dog.
Plural. This year I've gotten 2 new dogs.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for 1.5 of them. Oliver is our little Pomchi,
Yeah.
and I'm very thankful for him. And I'm thankful for Jasper, the Pomeranian, but he's still skittish towards everybody but my wife.
Well,
So I'm thankful that he exists. Would like him to be more cuddly like the other one, but he's really
existence.
barks
Back
at
up,
me.
because you listed a bunch of things. We don't have to
Yeah.
talk about each one, but one thing I think you did point out that sounds a little bit overly, dramatic, but is a good point. Is God did not have to create us. We
Right.
did not have to exist. I mean, honestly. William Lane Craig often starts out his discussion of the cosmological argument that he uses by saying, have you ever asked yourself why something exists rather than nothing? Well, that's a good question for believers to ask ourselves too, because in a different sense than Craig means it, God did not have to create.
No.
He doesn't need us, like that. He was perfectly self-sufficient, and the unity with the Trinity was enough for him, but he chose to create us and love us when he didn't have to.
Yeah, out of the overflow of his love
Yeah.
within the Trinity, it spilled over into creating a whole external world. And when you think about that, you also think that God not only created the earth and the cosmos, but he created the heavens. He created himself a space up there. Because God wasn't sitting in heaven for eternity past. Heaven, too, was something he brought into being.
Yeah.
So that's a place.
He was outside of the physical universe.
Right. So there's a lot more to creation that we just see and explore in science and all of that, too.
But dogs, I wanted to bring it back around to your dog, because the point is, not only is God benevolent to create us, human beings, and to let us have a relationship with him and be a part of a kingdom and all those sorts of things, but he's such a good God that when God made, say, stars for us to enjoy, he could have given us one star, and every night we would go out and we would say, look at the star. I mean, isn't that star that God made
But he decided to
unbelievable?
show off.
But he gave us trillions. We don't even know how many, I don't think,
Right.
stars he gave us. And the same thing, I think there's an idea, and I may butcher it here. There's a philosophical idea called something like the principle of plenitude or something. And it says that everything that could exist, like in terms of beings, not in terms of situations, but in terms of beings, anything that could possibly exist in the universe does.
Unicorns?
They would say that either they have existed or that's not possible or something, or they will exist at some point. But I reject the principle of plenitude. However, it's like God does give us way more than he has to, that he would create a furry little, seemingly too good to be true creature called a dog that can play with us and bring us contentment and relationship. You can have a relationship with a dog. These people that have iguanas, I know you're out there watching. I don't understand how you have a relationship with an iguana. I understand how you have a relationship with a dog. So I think God is good, and he loves us, and he gives us dogs.
Yes.
That may or may not be in heaven, depending on what we decide in another show.
And you being... Yeah, and you being an Indiana Jones fan, Indy hates snakes. So, some people have iguanas.
Oh, yeah.
My wife, when we first started dating, had a snake. And
Did you have a relationship? Did she love the
she
snake?
would pull this snake out, and one of the conditions of our marriage was the snake has to go. That's not a pet. That's a predator,
Wow.
But yeah, it was an enormous snake, and one time I went over to her house, and the snake was not in its cage, and that freaked me out because I had no idea where it was in her house. And I was like, honey, when we get married and start living together, it will be without the snake.
Well, I'll tell you this. There are snakes in Ireland, because I was in Northern Ireland earlier this year, and there was a massive snake that lived in the house of the preacher. Maybe I'll put it on the screen. But anyway, so animals, stars, things that God gives us that he didn't have to, that bring us pleasure and joy and contentment. By the way, I do think there will be animals in heaven. The question is, what's your dog's name?
Which one?
The one you like?
Oliver.
Will Oliver be in heaven? That's a show topic right there.
Yes, and I want to get to that show topic. I don't want to make this that, because I could easily go off on that, but I don't want to give away the store, but
Okay.
we definitely have to talk about that.
The point is we're thankful.
Thankful.
I have a dog too now. I think most people
Indy.
know this, but yeah, Indiana is our new dog. He's a half terrier, and we don't know what kind, in part some kind of border collie, and he's just awesome. I think I've showed pictures of him, but maybe I'll put a picture of him. I'm thankful for him. And he's been around. I'll tell you, I don't like this. I've been looking up on Google, how do you steal a dog from your spouse? Because our dog, Indiana, thinks that he belongs to Sarah and Sarah belongs to him. As far as he's concerned, the rest of us are just around the house, but it's really the Indiana and Sarah show.
Probably having 2 dogs with that relationship with my spouse, yeah.
It's not fair. Like, I always wanted a dog who would be my companion, to be like, he'd sit next to you, he'd protect you, that kind of thing. All he cares about is her.
Yeah, and you even walk the dog.
She walks it more than I do probably during the day.
But you're walking the dog almost every night.
I'll tell you what, this has got nothing to do with what we're talking about here, but since this is kind of a throwaway Thanksgiving show, I'll say this. If you're about to get a dog, first of all, don't do it. Life is difficult enough without some animal pooping all over your house. But if you do get a dog, make sure that on the way home from wherever you get it, make sure that your wife drives and you hold that dog. Because Sarah held the dog on the way home and it was freaked out and scared to death, and she brought it comfort. I think that was the bonding moment.
I don't, because Sarah, my daughter Sarah, had Jasper in her lap the whole way home, and they drove. It was like a few hours from somewhere in Ohio.
Did you name the dog?
No, Sarah did. And even though Sarah held that dog all the way home, that dog, Jasper, still eventually became Misty's dog too. And I think part of the problem was because he bonded with Oliver, and Oliver saw
Oliver knew who his master was.
Yeah, Misty, and so Jasper followed suit, and so it just didn't work. Now, that may work the first time.
They say it's whoever walks it and feeds it and stuff, most of the time. Like, whoever does the most of that.
I don't know.
Anyway,
we're thankful
for dogs, right?
Amen.
Okay, let's move on. What else are you thankful for?
This year has, I'm blessed, you're blessed. I'm thankful for my job. It is a blessing to be able to come to work every day and work with amazing people and do the things that we get to do. To see, we're first and foremost, we're teachers. You're the president, I'm vice president of academic affairs at Trinity, but beyond that, we're teachers and mentors to people. And we've said this a lot of times. I don't think people have gotten it in yet that aren't Trinity students, that we actually spend probably more time mentoring our students than brick and mortar campuses do. And I'm so thankful that as Trinity's enrollment continues to grow, and we've been just growing every year, I'm just thankful for the opportunity that we get, that God lets us do what we do here and teach. And of course, I'm thankful for you. You plucked me out of nowhere, Arkansas, to come do this. And, along the way, I gained not just a boss, but a best friend. So for you, I'm very thankful.
Way.
And of course, everyone that works here is wonderful.
Well, let's say this. I'm thankful that God, I think, this will sound a little too like revelatory for some people that may listen to our show, but I don't care. The fact is, I think sometimes God lays a plan on your heart and then blesses it. In the case of Trinity, I knew that I would soon become the president of this school, and I wanted someone who would be able to kind of have the similar vision to what I had and be able to make it happen in the details in a way that I can't. Sorry about that. That's my computer. It's never happened before. In a way,
except every episode.
In a way that I'm not a detail guy. When it comes to teaching and learning, I do pay attention to the details. But in terms of organization and planning in the future, I'm a big picture guy. I'm a dreamer, and I needed a detail guy. And Jonathan, Dr. Pritchett, was a great detail guy to bring on board. And God bless that, because what I kind of want for Trinity, and I think this is what God wants, is there are first of all, there are a lot of people out there that can't afford to go to school,
right? And
they can't, or they think they can't, and some of them live in third world countries and developing world countries and things like that. And we wanted to be that for them. So that's always been part of what Trinity is, and we'll never change that. But one thing that we've added a layer of lately is I want us to be the school for theology and apologetics geeks and Bible geeks. And the reason is because there are a lot of people there. Eric Hernandez is an example of this, our friend Eric Hernandez. Yes. Billy Wendelin and Matt Chisholm. These people are people out there who, that's what they are. They're Bible geeks. They're theology and apologetics geeks. And they haven't really seen the need to go to seminary.
Right.
But it will open doors for them, and it will force them to read and study some things they wouldn't have otherwise. But that's not enough to justify them dropping $30,000 on a degree program.
Right.
So I've decided we can be, because it's what we are, it's what I am, it's
right.
what you are. We're the theology and apologetics geeks and Bible
right.
geeks. So we can be that school for people like that. And that plan that I think God kind of laid on my heart, He brought you, He brought Leighton Flowers,
yeah.
He brought some of these guys to us, and He's blessed it, and He continues to bless it, and we get more and more every day of people like that. In fact, there's a guy named Dylan Manley that is now helping out in a certain way that we'll talk more about at a future point. And he's one of our good Calvinist brothers, and I believe God's brought him here. So the point is, God has blessed Trinity, and this year particularly, I hope this doesn't sound braggy, but He's blessed you in that you've gotten a lot of work done toward a book that will come out at some point in the question mark future. And He gave you the opportunity to debate publicly. And I am thankful for Dr. Zacariades and Dr. Sonny Hernandez.
Yes.
I'm serious. I'm not messing around. Let me tell you why I'm grateful for them. There's been a lot of jokes on both sides of that thing. There's been a lot of fanfare.
Yeah.
But I am thankful because God allowed you to have a live public moderated debate that I think you'll never have one more intense in one respect than that.
Right.
And on the other hand, and at the same time, I think now you'll feel more confident the next time you debate.
Yeah, debates
it won't be more crazy than that.
Right. Debates are fun, but of course that was a 2-on-2. And man, if you got to go into battle with anybody, there's no one better to go into battle with than Leighton Flowers, except for maybe you. But we haven't done that yet. But Leighton Flowers, talk about just a rock star. Talk about a guy who, under any circumstance, he can just be so quick with his responses. He has studied that issue. He's so gracious in spite of how. Anyone, not just at the debate, but just in general, how he's got a big target on his back. But talk about a warrior. I mean, this year has been just. I think it's been an amazing year for Trinity. It's been an amazing year for you personally. It's been amazing for me personally. But if you think about this year in terms of all the things that you've gone on to do, starting in January, you just finally now get a break from. You get to hang around the office for a good stretch of 6 weeks through the end of the year, because it's been in and out for you, going so many different places. You went to Israel, went to New Orleans, went to various churches. Your people know you from the big apologetics conferences, but they don't know that you're also gone in churches of all sizes, doing revivals, seeing people get saved all over the country. And it's just it's been a busy year for you. My year was busy in the sense of preparing for the debate, having the debate, making sure all those changes that you wanted at the seminary. This was kind of a full year of our new way of doing things. We did a lot of work last year preparing for that, and to see it go off and to see enrollment grow. It's just been an amazing year. We've made so many new friends, older friendships, like our friendship with Leighton Flowers has just deepened, even though we've known him for a few years. Well, a lot
of this is because of Trinity Radio, how God's used Trinity Radio. I mean, in some form or other, Trinity Radio has existed since like 2009 or maybe 2009 or 10, when it's just me starting out. But God's really blessed it this year, because this year we decided, hey, you know what? We've got the means now to do a really cool show, I think, and maybe make it a video-based show too for people that want to do it that way. We know that most of our people, most listeners, listen online, audio, not video. But we thought, hey, we could do something cool that way. But New Orleans in January, the Defend Conference, and I got to speak there with our friends Adam Harwood and Ryan Putman and people like that, Bob Stewart and Steve Lemke. Got to teach a class there, their D-Min class on apologetics, and The unapologetic conferences with Leighton Flowers in Austin, Corpus Christi. Feels like there's another one that I'm missing, but yeah, and then going to Ireland and going to Sarasota, Florida with Mike Licona and doing that, and North Carolina, I went and did a really great. I think it went really great. Just old-fashioned preaching, evangelism type thing. I did several of those this year, but that's the one that kind of jumps into my thinking. And then Israel, yeah. So for you and for me, it's been big, but Trinity Radio has been a big part of it this year because running in and out between all those things, we've been recording episodes and trying to upload them, and it's really been difficult to get it all out there. And of course, it's hard for us to kind of justify sometime there's people we got to answer to that, the board of regents for the school, the other people in administration. It's been hard for us to justify sometimes that we got to do this kind of geeky thing where and does it bring any money? Well, not exactly, but it doesn't not exactly either.
Right.
It's a weird thing, but we love it enough, and this is kind of the clubhouse, and so
people think, oh, you're vice president, you're president, that means you do what you want. No. You don't. I mean, even just to give one simple example, it's not just the board of regents, but because I'm vice president of academic affairs, and he's a professor here, he doesn't just sit in his huge, obnoxiously large office and
it's a big office.
Look down. It is a big office, and look down on the little people. I mean, I can literally look out my window down at the street, and they look small. Right. Yeah.
We'll talk about that in just a moment. Yes. I will not end without explaining.
But no, I mean, but even as president, I get to decide what he teaches and when he needs to teach it, and so. I mean, it's not like having our jobs means we get to do whatever we want. Right. And a lot of people think that. But even I get to dictate what you do in a day. And then people don't realize that we don't have he's such a control freak that we don't have our tech guy editing all these videos. He actually does the editing. We don't pay a lackey.
I don't do all the editing. I do the editing on my videos. Yeah. And I do the editing for Trinity Radio.
Right. You don't do Trinity video editing, but for this little thing, he's so particular that, I mean, all those little things where Pritchett Prime jumps into the side, you do all of that stuff.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. I've not really wanted people to know that because I've kind of thought it was cool that people thought that we had minions that do that stuff. But in the interest of humility, I'll just tell you, I do all that stuff, and I do the graphic design type stuff too. And what's kind of cool is occasionally someone will say something like, man, your audio visual, like obviously the audio is not that great here, but like they'll say your production value. I had an atheist say this about the free will video. If you go look at the little short topical free will video I have, this atheist is like, man, I completely disagree with what you're saying. But whoever is your production team who puts all this together and designs it and edits it and all that, they're worth their salt, man. They could make a living doing that somewhere else. And I'm thinking, thanks.
You are the production team
right.
for your own videos. Yeah, and I mean maybe you could make a living doing that and make more money than what we make here at Trinity, but
probably not more money, but who knows. But back on track. Why do I have such a big office? The reason you've heard me tell this to people.
Are you thankful for your big office?
I'm very thankful. Who wouldn't be thankful for that massive office? I sent Adam Harwood an email and said, whenever God is finished with you at New Orleans, you come to Trinity and this can be your office. That's what I told him. But anyway, which it wouldn't be. I'm not giving that up. But here's what happened there. And you've heard me tell this to people. I don't know if anybody's listening at this point. Do you think they are? This has been the most rambly episode ever.
Yeah.
But what happened was when we moved to this new location in downtown Evansville, Indiana, in a high-rise office building, because we had a 9-building campus. Some of you are just learning now that we don't have that 9-building campus anymore, and you're a little bit let down by that. And I'm sorry, but here's the thing. There is no point for us to have a 9-building campus when we could all be together in an office building that is actually more in line with what we're trying to do and on the cutting edge of technology. It works better this way and all that sort of thing. So we came here, but one of the offices is just comically big.
It is.
And who gets that office? Well, actually, my original plan was that would be like a conference room type thing. but nobody would have it. Some of the staff, except for Pritchett, and all of administration were like, no, that needs to be the president's office.
Right.
Because occasionally when people come that are, visiting professors or students from somewhere, they expect the president to kind of look like he's got a big... So I took it, but it is not. But I'm embarrassed of it. And in fact, whenever we moved in, the moving guys, the 2 men in a truck guys, I was the only one there that night, and I had on like a baseball cap and t-shirt and jeans and flip flops or something, and they're all coming in, and everyone's boxes had just their initials, so like JP, BH, Brenda Martin was BM, Leighton Flowers doesn't have an office here, but if he did, it would be LF, Andy Armstrong, AA. So they were putting, every time it would be BH, and they didn't know I was BH, they'd put BH boxes in that big office. They'd be like, man, whoever this BH is, he thinks he's something special. And I'd be like, yeah, he thinks he is. And like 3 hours into the process, they're like, by the way, where's your office? And I was like, oh, I'm BH. So I'm embarrassed of it. I didn't require. And at the old campus, I had a pretty small office for a long time.
Yes, and my office here is actually
thankful for the upgrade.
Yeah, my office here, and we use it for way more than you probably want us to use your office for. But you have the space. But we're always usurping his office for, anything you can think of, from karate practice to
karate and videos or practice. We've shot a lot of video in there that you've probably seen.
Oral defense for doctoral students.
Oral defenses take place sometimes in there.
Yeah.
We even watched the fireworks on the Evansville riverfront from there, and had like 35 people in the office, which that alone tells you something.
Right. But we use his office for...
Man, we have talked about this and dogs a lot.
Right, for what we're thankful for.
My office and dogs.
Out of the mouth comes the overflow. So, dogs and offices, that's what...
Well, we said we're thankful for God and our wives. Did we say we're thankful for our wives?
I said I was thankful for
my wife. We're
wife.
thankful for our wives. Gosh, of course we're thankful
and what's
for our
great
wives.
is... I am so blessed.
You have stressed out a lot this year, and I have too. You about the debate. Me about some of the kind of scary things I was doing this year that I hadn't done before.
Yeah, and one right after another, too.
And so our wives have put up with a lot of us being stressed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Silly stress, too, because they're like, y'all are going to be fine. But, see, I'm blessed that my wife also gets, I don't know if people know that or not, our students know this, that my wife works here as well. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of happened that way, and that's kind of, God put this whole thing together because they needed a financial person at the same time he wanted me to come, and it just all happened at the same time. So my wife works here, and she's a real blessing to have at work. People think, our offices are on opposite sides of the building, so we're not driving each other crazy. People think, I couldn't work with my spouse, but actually it's been a blessing to work with my wife here.
And he's saying this loudly because actually there's a wall right there, and her office is on the other side of that wall.
I score points however I can get them.
But no, he means it. But what were you just saying? Go on more about your wife.
Oh, I was just saying how it all came together.
Because there was something I was going to say about that.
Well, our wives putting up with our stress.
Yeah.
For all of you lost it.
It's gone.
But I think that if we would have actually listened to our wives,
there was just yesterday an argument. One of our students was arguing with Brenda Martin, saying, "I want to talk to Dr. Pritchett's secretary," and he by which he meant Misty, because his thinking apparently was whoever I was talking to knew way too much about him not to be his secretary.
Right.
Well, yeah, she actually knew more than that. That was his wife. But he's like, no, I know he has a secretary.
No, I don't have a secretary. But no, I was going to say we probably should have listened to our wives about all the stress that we had, because my wife kept telling me everything's going to be fine, and everything turned out fine. And your wife probably was telling you you're going to knock it out of the park. And you can go look at our record for this year. It's all out on YouTube somewhere. You know what? God really did let us not make complete idiots of ourselves, because we really did well, I think. Yeah. I feel confident saying that we did well.
Well, I think we did. I think you did well, and you think I did well, which means we both did well.
Yes.
Now, let's close this thing down. But as we do, when can we expect a book from Dr. Jonathan Pritchett?
I intend to complete...
seriously, we always joke about it. Seriously.
No, I intend to have 2 finished before December of next year.
Okay.
I'm going to have the research one done for sure. And and then I'm still working on my primer to Bible backgrounds, and then
shoot for June.
The primer, building a theological library, was one of the books. I've started working on my research for the 1st and 2nd Peter commentary. So that's a ways away, but I will have probably 2 finished. I just don't know.
Shoot to have them both done by June. And then you'll have them done by December.
Right.
If you shoot for December, it'll be 3 years from now. But here's the thing.
I'll have those books out on Trinity Academic Press, because I know that you and Leighton are screaming at me.
And if you're watching this,
they're my co-publishers in this, and they want money.
If you're watching this and it's the year 2025, then the good news is Dr. Pritchett's got 3 books out, and the last one made some big waves. So you want to go check that out. Yeah. Now, I said all that so that I could say this. There's a little bit of a silly thing that I do. I've written several books. A couple of them are really good, I think.
I've read all of them but one.
There is
and
one
they're
book
all really good.
You've heard us talk about one book a lot, and this is kind of silly. I wrote a fiction book. Now, I was scared for people to know that I wrote a fiction book. This is what it looks like. This is called The Chronicles of the Adonai. It is a kind of dystopian sort of Hunger Games type of thing. I know. And who do I think I am to be writing a novel? I know. I used to not want people to know about this, which is not a good way to go into the marketing of a new book. But we had a local multi-site church pastor come on campus here, and Jonathan Pritchett let him know. And I was like, oh, why did you let him know that I wrote a novel? Well, as a matter of fact, that was the thing that got him so excited about what we're doing here,
right,
because his church is into creative and the arts and stuff like that, that he had me come speak at their multi-site church. And you can go watch that. Just go to my Facebook page and kind of look through the feed, and you'll find where I spoke there. And he actually says that in introducing me. So I'm not going to try to hide it anymore. In fact, there is a follow-up. And this is an ongoing saga. It's open-ended, the first book is, and the first book's already out. Like, you can go buy it right now. Please do. It's on Amazon. You can get it as an ebook. You can get it as a physical book already.
And my wife loves it, and
yeah,
was helping you with this the follow up that's going to be coming out soon. And she said it's even better.
Well, I'm hoping it's my Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
You know? But here's the thing. I know I sound like a jerk, like talking about my own thing. I don't. You're going to hear more about it, though.
No, you got to sell
forward,
copy, man.
Because here's the thing, and I'm shooting for January. I'm shooting for the middle of January, or maybe toward the beginning of January. So until then, you're gonna start hearing me talk more about this book everywhere I say things, because I believe in it. I'll say this: I have been on a mission since 2009, at least, to get church people interested in apologetics enough that they're using it and understand it on a basic level, and skeptics into reading a book that they normally wouldn't read that has to do with evidences and arguments. But I don't believe in edutainment. I want the story up front, and chapters will go by with nothing apologetics-y. But the arguments and the evidence, the reasons to believe in Christianity, hang in the background.
Yeah.
And so I want you to. I believe in this more than I believe in anything else I've ever done in terms of a written work. So the next one is going to come out in January. So go ahead and get the first one and start reading it now, so you can be ready. And I am.
Yeah, I mean, Christmas is coming up. He needs those royalties.
I'm thankful that
he's got to buy me a
that
present, and also his wife and kid.
Hey, I'll get you a copy of Chronicles of the Adonai, Part 2.
The only Braxton Hunter works I've not read. But they're the only ones that my wife has read, so it balances out.
Yeah. You brought balance to the force. All right, let's say that you ought to become a student at Trinity College of the Bible and Theological Seminary. Yeah. So you need to talk to us about how that can happen, and contact us at TrinitySem.edu. If you want to learn casually, you can go to BraxtonHunter.com or keep showing up where you're getting this from, which might be YouTube.com/BraxtonHunter. Next time you hear from us, I'm going to make a firm commitment that the next time that they hear from us, there will at least be one episode of the Jonathan Pritchett, verse by verse, through the book of 1 Peter.
Yes, in fact, it should be soon.
Okay, so by the next time you see our faces officially with something new, that's what you're going to see.
And we are also very thankful for all of you for sticking with us.
Absolutely. We never had more than, I think, 70 on regular, and maybe the biggest episode was like 300 until this time last year it started to take off when we weren't even recording.
Right.
So we are thankful for you. There are at least I don't know, more than 1,000 of you out there now that listen. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
And we could not be happier that some people care to look at our faces.
So thank you, and tell a friend.